Ladies, gentlemen, and others, get ready to tune in for a very, very interesting episode today. And remember that if you like what you hear, you must review, comment, rate, and subscribe to the podcast. Who I have here with me today is someone I think I've known for about, I want to put a number on it, and I want to say about 6 to 7 years. I've been a guest on her show many a times. If you've heard about, and if you've not heard about it, you're clearly living under a rock. If you haven't heard about Afternoons with Annie, you are going to hear me this afternoon with Annie. She is one of the most popular RJs the Indian radio ecosystem has had the pleasure to witness the career of. Someone who's been on 94.3 Radio 1 for about a decade or 2 decades.
8 years.
I feel like I want to verify this number with you.
8.
And today I am welcoming you on my podcast, Annie. Thank you for coming on.
I am excited. And thank you.
It's so interesting because it's almost like a role reversal today.
Yeah.
I've been a guest on your show for what,
And I
2
think
years?
We've talked about this. You being on the show, co-hosting it and so on and so forth. But, this is how, the universe wanted to work around it.
Yeah,
I'm
and
glad.
you've been someone I think who I've driven around a lot while listening to. So the fact that the universe also brought us together a few years ago was a very pinch me moment because I felt like, oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So for context, for everyone who's listening, we connected a few years ago and I was part of Afternoons with Annie's style segment.
Yes.
At
It was
the
called
time.
Swank It Up.
Swank It Up with Annie, and we had such lovely conversations. And then what was
Beautiful.
fun was we landed up on a travel trip together,
Yeah.
which I feel that was the true bonding experience
Yes.
for me. Because they basically put us on a cruise in the middle of the ocean and said, now hang out together for 1 week because you don't know very many other people. And it could have gone in many ways.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
we genuinely all got
we
along
had
so well.
much fun. Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
like Big
wow.
Boss for influencers.
You know,
in
I'm
the middle
literally
of the ship.
like in my head going back and thinking of all the days that I've tried to coordinate with you for the segment recordings, and then how we used to meet up in the studios and talk about all possible style segment, dynamics that we could discuss with listeners and stuff like that. Wow. Yeah.
And invariably, every time I came into your studio to record, much like today, we would sit and have a chat and realize, wait, we were here to record. Let's do this later. But you're so lovely to have conversations with because you have this very open personality, which obviously is a great attribute for an RJ. Because you're essentially, I feel like you do what I do with a camera. Like when I'm vlogging, I'm essentially talking to a
I
camera.
think so. Yeah.
But you're
I'd like
talking to a
think so.
mic.
Yeah.
How has it been for you? How many years has it been now?
In the industry, a little more than 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
With Radio 1, back again with Radio 1, because I actually started my career with Go FM back in the day, if you remember, Go
Yeah.
92.5. That's where I first started radio. And then now, 17 years, that's a long time. And so speaking to the mic has been as exciting as being on stage, because when I was growing up, I was always someone who wanted to be on stage. I would love to have the spotlight on me. And then when I heard radio, back in the day, it was the first phase of radio. It was when radio had just sort of begun and gotten into mainstream, and everybody was in awe of that voice you hear behind radio and the mystery behind who this person could be and everything that the listeners and fans draw out of it, And then when they finally meet you, either they're disappointed or they're absolutely excited about meeting you. You draw these images about who that person is behind the voice and things like that. So from those moments to today, where there have been so many more avenues that have also come up along with radio. So boy, I feel like a dinosaur suddenly.
No, you sound like a very experienced person who's clearly been around for a hot minute. Was radio always the plan, or were you just someone who enjoyed the spotlight, like you said, but were you looking in a different direction?
Radio was something that did fancy me, and no, I wasn't particularly looking at radio. I was looking at a stage, and that could be anything. It could be a stage where I could be in theater or plays or acting, or like radio, which again is a stage because you have to forget about your sorrows and your griefs and come and put on this persona that is able to communicate with whatever's happening in the day around you to your listeners. So
I think that having any kind of public profile job comes with its complexities of saying, okay, I got to leave this out of the recording room, out of the studio.
Yeah.
And
I'm having a bad day, you can stay out or wait for 4 hours till I get back to you. But I have to put on this self, which is excited about the show, which is excited about everything that's happening on the show, whether or not you're in the mood for it. Yeah.
What's your most and what's your least favorite thing about the job? I want to know both.
Wow. I think the job in itself, all of it is good
No.
without sounding too
No,
diplomatic.
this is too diplomatic. This is too diplomatic. I'm canceling this answer. What is this? You have to be. This is the real deal with Aanam. So you gotta be real with me over here. What is your most? And tell me your least. Chalo, pehle wo bata do. It's easier to bitch about your job in life. It truly is. It's human nature.
God. How much more real do you want me to get? Well, I think when it comes to the pressure of getting a show set, in a stipulated time. And you have to pack in so much, and you've got to put up a show at this particular given point in time, and you cannot miss that mark. And you do that every single day. You cannot give yourself that leeway of saying, I'm going to start my show at 12:05 today and not 12. You know what I mean?
But that's also because you're doing it live.
That's when you're doing it live. Even when you're recording, you still have to deliver it at a certain time so that it reaches in time for everybody else. Like now I'm doing a national show, which has been going on for at least 5 years now, 4 to 5 years. And so, yes, it is pre-recorded. It isn't live anymore. But again, that stipulated restriction always stays. And sometimes you just want to stretch out and say, no, maybe I want to start the show today at 12:05. Never happens.
Pehle baja deti hu.
But yeah, that is one. Sometimes you feel a little restricted, but other times, thanks to the platform and to what this platform has been for me, it's allowed me to just be a free bird to talk about most things under the sun. So yeah.
What are the kind of things you've been asked not to talk about? Politics, I would assume, is one.
Yeah, that is a no-no because we are not licensed to speak about politics. We are not a news channel. Only the news channels are, whether on radio or on television, licensed to speak about politics. So that's clearly out of the window.
Yeah.
The other things are you can't talk about porn, you can't talk about sex, you can't talk about intimacy. But
you can't talk about sex?
Yeah, you cannot discuss it in detail. You can talk about issues around mental health when it comes to sex and intimacy, but you cannot talk about sex.
No, you mean like you can't be imparting sex education, essentially.
That too, yes.
Wow, I never thought about it. First of all, I don't know
and
why
then you cannot use cuss words, which on a digital platform, for instance, you could.
You can say fuck here, don't worry.
But I have been trained so well and meticulously that I don't think that's going to come out of my mouth when I have a mic in front of me. That's never going to happen.
Wow. Is there something that you think has changed over the years about being an RJ? Do you feel like there's a different... I mean, I'm sure social media, of course, is something that you and I have discussed extensively in general. But as part of your job wholly and solely as an RJ, do you feel like you look at it differently after 17 years?
So when we started radio back in the day when it was phase 1, there were just 2 stations within a city at any given point in time. And everything was about radio. Everything was about, if there is television, if there are films, then there is radio. These are the 3 best and the top platforms that everybody would look up to, and premium platforms. So back in the day, it revolved a lot around entertainment only. But today, it's not just about entertainment because I think the world at large has evolved. We as a city and as a country have evolved. So it's not just entertainment. There's a lot of other aspects that you've got to bring in. So whether it is social issues, standing for a cause, bringing those causes to the fore, which wasn't very high on the list back in the day. Because we were starting out as also a platform, so to speak. And so it was more to do with, okay, there's music and there's movies and this is what most people go after. And this is what we should be talking about because that's the best thing.
So more layers and more complexities.
Yeah.
Do you also get involved on the business side of things or do you focus only on the creative side of it?
Well, if you can, you're allowed to. And you're also sometimes asked to. But otherwise, no.
Like if I were to ask you, let's say we have an aspiring RJ listening in today, what would you describe the many hats that an RJ should wear to somebody who's, aspiring to be you in 17 years from now?
Well, for starters, you've got to have a good know-how of what's happening around you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to articulate that. And you also somewhere have to be able to weave a story around it. And then you can put your point across, whether it's your personal opinion or if you are, showing a mirror to the society, which is not mostly recommended because nobody wants to be talked down upon, maybe talked to or talked with. So those kind of little nuances that you've got to keep in mind.
I would assume it's also tougher to do that because you're dealing with a primarily audio, not primarily, only pretty much an audio audience, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like with visuals, it
But
might
that's
be...
changed now, huh? Thanks to social media again. So if there's anything happening on radio, it's also happening on social media
Are you
because
guys
we
now
have
recording live
yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
other
We have
platforms?
videos going out on YouTube and Instagram, and yeah.
You remember
it's
we
happening.
had that conversation when I first time I came into your studio, and I was like, why don't you prop up a camera there and then live stream on YouTube as well? And I sounded like such an idiot saying it at that point of time because nobody was doing it. But like, if
You are a visionary, Aanam. You always have been.
no, I think I just think with a visual lens. Like my brain works like that. So even when I was planning this podcast, for example, I've been talking about having my own podcast for a year before I clearly have finally gotten into doing it. I always have to remind myself that in this particular scenario, my audio needs to be more important
Yeah.
than my video. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's ulta for you then. But again,
But
going
now things are changing. Now things are changing. So
Equal
if that is also,
balance.
yeah. So that is also something that is new to radio. It's not radio anymore. We are content creators now.
Mhm.
Because back in the day also we have been content creators. But of course this term, the buzzword
Yeah.
that everybody likes to use, because it seems like suddenly people only understand content creators as a term.
Yeah.
You know, so
Thank
it's
God.
easier.
I will say thank God, finally. 12 साल से कर रही हूँ, अब लोग समझ रहे हैं मैं क्या कर रही हूँ. No, but my question to you is, do you like that there is a visual component now, or are you like,
I love
"Oh,
it.
I could sit in my pajamas earlier and
I
now
love
have
it, but
to-"
don't ask me to do everything by myself. You know what I mean? Like you're expecting
Mhm.
me to do radio, and they're also expecting me to do social media. Yes, I have the bandwidth for it, but I should physically have the time for it.
Yeah.
You know.
So are you
and-
dressing
and-
up to do radio now?
Yeah.
Do you
See, I tried.
do you like that, or are you like, fuck it,
I
let me
enjoy
just...
it. No. I enjoy it. I always have. If you know me, I always have.
Yeah,
So I
but see,
think
it's one
I'm
thing
okay.
to enjoy it, and it's another thing to need to have to do it every day.
No. I'm
for
not in
a
that
job.
space anymore of need to have to do it.
Okay.
But yes, when I'm asked to do reels, you've got to do something fun. You've got to do something this, and you've got to do something that. You've got to get numbers. That gets to me.
Yeah.
That does get to me because I've been doing radio and audio medium where you are supposed to remain a mystery as far as the face is concerned. Personality maybe comes through a little bit. And so you don't ask me to now come show myself and try to be cool. What is trying to be cool?
Mm.
I think I have been cool all along. Don't forget that. It's just been a different format. In fact, it's the theater of mind that is put to play when you are on radio.
Yeah.
Which isn't when it's a visual medium. I am feeding it to you. You're just like blindly and without giving it much thought, just taking it in.
Adapting to new media, however, must be a challenge for so many people.
Yeah,
who've-
that too. Yeah.
like reels, like you said. Like,
Yeah, and to be able to make sense out of, okay, this is not what I really did on radio, but I still have to do something fun because it's all about numbers. That does get to you.
is it gonna sound weird to you when I tell you that there are days when me as a content creator also feels like that?
Aha!
Because like there's
Now
again,
you know what I'm talking about.
No, I do. I swear I do. Because I've been doing what I do for 12 years. And there are days where I just want to write a nice long blog post. There are days when I want to focus on creating an informational video. And I don't feel like pointing to 20 things in 5 seconds. It's, it's something that I have honestly talked about that I struggle with even. Because
Yeah.
my brain
Yeah.
is programmed to think of content that is either entertaining or informational, but either of those two in my head is definitely over a minute, let alone 5
See, that's
seconds.
another stress.
Yeah.
Oh God. 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds. What do you do?
And then it's like when you want to say something, wait, now should I adapt this into a 10-second reel? Should I make it an 8 to 10 minute YouTube video? Or should I just put it on stories? Because people will get the same thing with me pointing to things in 5 seconds.
So it's so different from what it was when you started.
Oh, 100%. And I love it on some days,
Wow.
but I hate it on some days. I'm also
Yeah.
very honest about that because sometimes I'm just like, let me do what I know. But again, the pressure of numbers, the pressure
Yeah,
of trends, the
yeah,
pressure of keeping
Yeah.
up. The space in the content creator world, the landscape there has definitely changed drastically, right? But do you feel like there's been a big change in consumption patterns with radio?
Yeah. In a
I-
very, very big way. So there I'd like to say that radio as an industry maybe has fallen short of being able to, hold up their ground and be able to communicate and keep up that communication of what this medium is all about and the beauty of this medium. Because it's not for anyone. In the West, they have evolved over years. They're trying to do so many new things. They haven't given up on the medium, although the new medium was introduced back in the West.
Give me an example of like new things that, let's say, you'd like to bring to Radio 1.
Well, so we're talking about radio vis-a-vis the social media or vis-a-vis what has changed over the years, right? So radio has always been around. Television has always been around. After OTT comes in, of course, there's pressure on theater or the theater complexes and multiplexes that we go to watch a movie at. And yes, I choose my films now, but I have always been that person. It's not just today. OTT hasn't changed much of that, but I have more content on OTT. So, to traditional or conventional mediums, there's always going to be that sort of competition.
Mhm.
And for me, I think I'm slightly old school when it comes to that, because I feel that even if it is conventional or traditional mediums that have been so successful and have been able to communicate so well to a larger audience, a much larger audience, don't let go of it so soon. Not yet. And
I wish we could
considering-
control that.
yeah, like I mean, India is a huge population, so it's about mindsets, I feel. So you just don't run after a bandwagon just because it's new.
But I have to be honest, when it comes to that, unfortunately, as you're saying this, I'm realizing I'm part of the audience that's now picking my films. In pre-pandemic, I was at a
Yeah.
movie theater every weekend.
I know that you're such a buff.
I'm such a movie buff. So all my life, my entire family and it's all of us. We're a big jhund. And we would be at the movies. And when I say it's a big jhund, like we would book like 40 tickets.
Wow.
Yeah, I literally mean big
I was thinking
jhund.
like 10 or 12 or
Oh
something.
no, like it'll be my
because
family.
that is my jhund.
It's like my family, and then there will be, a couple of cousins and somebody like one of our family friends, and then their cousins. I don't remember booking tickets less than 30 tickets up until maybe 5-10 years ago.
Wow.
Of course, then all of us grew up and started our own circles, or some of people moved out of the city or country or whatever. But our movie jones would be like 30-40 tickets, and that's like every weekend.
Big.
That's an every weekend we would find something to watch and go. And it's so funny because now if you ask me when was the last time I went to a theater, I'm gonna have to rack my head a little bit. What was Shah Rukh Khan's last? Pathan. Pathan is the last time I think I went to the theater. I haven't been since, but I've now become a full OTT watcher. And I'm like, ye to aa hi jayega kidhar?
You know what? Yeah, I say that to myself too. But while you do enjoy OTT, what a theater screen gives you cannot
Oh,
be,
100%.
sort
I
of-
regretted not going to the theater to watch Gangu Bai when I watched it on whatever Prime, Netflix, whatever it came on. And I was like, yeah, this na, I should have gone to Gate Galaxy and listened with CTs and Haath Mein Popcorn.
totally worth it. Yeah, yeah.
It would have been for sure.
Yeah.
But I've become lazier post the pandemic. I've become pickier about my social outings post the pandemic. I think
That's what the new
where
mediums
your-
are doing to us also, no?
Yeah, your analysis of the audience is on the pulse very clearly.
Yeah, yeah. So that does too. I mean, these kind of things that happen to us and also to the industry. And then, I'm very touchy about the industry, so to speak, because this is the industry that made me, that put me where I am today. And so I have a lot of, very strong feelings about it. And I think it will live, of course, the test of times. It's not like it won't. But people won't view it the way they used to view before. Like when I have guests who are my age group or who have teenagers, some of them love listening to radio or like the idea of radio, because radio is still, a medium that people go after, mainstream. Or television or anything for that matter, in films. But most others would say, you're listening to radio? What's that? The teenagers I'm
The
talking about,
weight
Gen
of it, you
Zs.
feel, has changed.
Yeah, yeah.
No, yeah, you can't substitute.
You're saying that.
I'm saying that 100%. I don't think you can substitute. I mean, it might seem like that to you because Gen Z won't know, okay, the magnitude of what radio used to be. Let's
So
say.
they do realize the value what a radio can do or a medium like that can bring, because it's still being talked about and it is still the glamorized version that they were told when they were growing up to where they are today and things like that. But again, in the space of content creation, which is kind of, an abyss where there's just so much happening, you tend to lose the essence of what then maybe radio actually brings for you and to you.
I think that radio is such an intimate experience, no matter.
Like I said, theater of the mind.
Yeah, no matter what you're doing. And like you always feel like this person is speaking to you. There's something very special.
COVID
about
actually
it.
proved that. COVID numbers of radio listenership went high up. And there was a good 20 to 30% increase that they saw, because then people realized that, okay, yeah, we have someone talking to me. when I feel lonely otherwise, whether you're with someone or you're all alone, because many of them were also stuck by themselves, all alone, within a four-walled apartment. So, yeah, that was also a reading that was done, a study that was done. And one of the reasons I think, again, for radio to win another sort of war, so to speak, with newer mediums.
Did you ever get on the Clubhouse app?
Oh, I did. I thought it was chaos for some reason.
Really?
Beyond a point, yeah.
Why? Tell me why.
It felt like a con call of sorts, a conference call of sorts.
Yeah, that's an accurate description.
It was just a conference call, and someone saying something like in a meeting, 10 of you get together. One has a point to make, the others are listening, everybody else is trying to make a point, but it doesn't reach you. Sometimes it does because of maybe what you're talking about, but most times it didn't. And I think it died a natural death.
It did. It definitely ran its course. But in my head, the way I viewed even Clubhouse at that point of time was a hybrid of like a podcast with a radio, with a con call, with a come, let's do chores while we're all
I like that
hanging
it's part
out
of our
together.
vocabulary now.
You know what I
Con
mean?
call.
Yeah, I loved it while it was while we were in lockdown and while I was at home. I think I really made the most of that app because I felt like I could hang out with people while not making the effort to be on a video call. But it also gave me...
I had groups of people within the organization trying really hard to get on Clubhouse because that was the time we realized, because of course everybody and everything was turning digital, that oh my God, radio has to go digital. There was renewed vigor in and renewed, of course, goals also in how we have to go after these platforms. And we tried as much as we could. I enjoyed my sessions, but I thought I really didn't sit with me.
It didn't feel like anything close to radio for you?
No, not at all. Not at all.
The intimacy of it even?
Which is why I'm saying, if it's in a conference call, you have 10 people. Here, you had 10 people. So it just didn't feel...
You've just written it off like a con call app. I love it.
So I tried it once. I tried it twice. I have been part of a few sessions. But it kind of, didn't connect with me at all. If it connects with me, I like it. Like Instagram, yeah, I do connect with it at some level. Facebook, I still connect with it at some level because I know the kind of people that use Facebook as a platform and Instagram as a platform. Both of them, Facebook has managed to sustain. Otherwise, people were already sort of writing off Facebook when Instagram took over or the other newer platforms took over. But that's not happened. Nobody wants that to happen, at least not the man behind it. But,
do you enjoy the other apps as well? Do you for one, do you manage your own Instagram, and do you manage to find that balance between being content creator independently on, like, let's say an Instagram?
I am so happy Meta took over Facebook and Instagram and just put it all together. So every post that goes on Instagram very nicely and slickly goes and sits in my Facebook account. And that's the easiest thing I could have asked for, because no, I cannot multitask when it comes to social media platforms. It's just one or maximum of two for me.
Which are the two for you? Facebook, Instagram is one. What's the other? Are you on Twitter?
No, I'm not so much on Twitter, no. I do have an account,
so there's
but
bandwidth.
No, I don't use it.
There's bandwidth to do one. But do you enjoy social media?
I enjoy social media. I enjoy watching, being a part of what's happening in terms of just to get an idea of the pulse of what people are thinking,
but do you create
doing.
For it?
And I do create for it, yes. Sometimes I follow trends. Sometimes I create my own content. It's a balance of both. Just like I do on radio. Radio, almost everything is new that I do on radio. Nothing that has been tried before. Across the platform, actually, everything is pretty new. Whether it's a travel segment, whether it's when I had you on board, no other radio ever attempted to do something like that. To simplify fashion or styling and bring it on radio so it's at the tip of your fingers, just like this is a click away, that is, still a click away. So, yeah.
Tell me some of your, like, I feel like I know I've heard a lot, and I've heard a lot in the sense, wait, I'm going to say that again. So I've obviously heard your show a lot over the years, been part of it. What are some of your goofiest, silliest memories of something a guest has done on your show? Because I'm sure not everyone comes, fully equipped or used to just talking to a mic. It's a very different thing to sit there and just talk to a mic at the end of the day.
I think the only time I've had any trouble, if at all, with any guest is when they just keep rattling off their own stories and they don't want to stop. And then I have to try really hard to stop them.
In a live. Has this happened in live?
It has happened.
Like on air?
On air, yeah. The links go on and on and on and on and it doesn't stop. So
what
yeah,
have you done to combat this? Like, how do you tell someone, ruko?
I do use hand gestures at times. That's like the ultimate thing that you could try to do. Keep doing this.
Do they listen? For those of you who are listening, she's doing like timeout with her hand when she's doing the hand gesture. Yeah.
So yeah, that and I try to bring in a new thought altogether so that they get jumbled up in what they were saying, so they can stop and I can continue.
Oh my God. But
you have to do that when you're on a live
Yeah, I was going to say it's complicated because you're on air. I mean, in
you
a
have to
recorded
break that
session,
flow of thought. And once you break that flow of thought, when you throw in a different question altogether or just you bring in a new viewpoint and they are stumped a little bit and then they'll kind of, take that pause and I make use of that pause. And of
I
course,
love these mind games. My God, I could never. But I'm very fascinated by this.
Yeah, you have to do it when you're on a live show.
Yeah, of course. In a recorded setting, it must be easier.
It's different. It's because I can edit most things out. But I let them talk when it's an edited environment or recorded environment because I know I can edit most of these things out. But otherwise, in a live environment, boy.
That's tricky.
Yeah, it is tricky. But it's also fun. That's the fun of being on radio, on live radio.
I think in my head, if I'm ever like recording, let's say, a YouTube video with someone and I have someone who's happens to be in a vlog, let's say, I let it go on. I'm like in my head, I'm like, this is going to get cut off. This is going to get cut off.
See?
This is going to get
See
cut
what
off.
I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. But if you're right, I mean, what do you do? I've never considered that. I feel like that trick of just throwing someone off would be interesting. Thankfully, I don't do those
Maybe
many YouTube lives.
Rude, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm feeling very grateful. I don't do very many YouTube lives with people. What about some nice experiences? Tell me about some nice experiences you've had with like guests.
Plenty. So the Bangash brothers, when they came with their sarod, and I had on the other side, I had a classical musician as well as someone who's a playback singer and who also does Western music. And I got them to actually perform live Eric Clapton's Tears in Heaven. Never been done before. And it was...
This was recorded or on air?
Yes. It was live on the show.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So quite a few things like that.
And what's the most bizarre thing that's happened to you while you were recording?
While I was recording... You know what? I'm someone who just passes off all weird things as okay because I think I'm weird myself. So
you are not weird, Annie.
But no, nothing bizarre that I can think of.
No, nothing. No one's ever insisted on answering a phone call while recording or like not realized you were on air. What is the weirdest experience you've had with a guest? I mean, like absolutely bizarre. Like, has anybody ever tried to answer a call while you've been live on air? Or has anybody ever,
Phones ring, yes. And it's awkward. But nobody tries to answer.
Aake dena chahiye na, like,
And they're like, oh, so sorry.
And this is live.
And then the very next line is, this can be edited, right? This can be, and I'm so sorry.
All while it's live.
No, while live, it must have happened once and they've tried to, and you have to cover up by saying, oh, someone's calling you. Oh, the phone rang and stuff like that. And you try to cover those things up because it's live, right? And people get it. People get the feel of it. People like it.
Yeah.
Oh, the phone rang. Oh, it's live. Yeah. It's so much fun to listen to their banter doing all of this and all that. So it's okay. So I think the audience also over the years, for that matter, even I don't enjoy something that is so clean.
And cookie cutter.
Yeah. Like, why are you so clean? That's not human. It's okay to miss a word. It's okay to, what did I just say? You should do that because then that's how you will engage and also connect with the listener, because gone are the days where, I think you put people on a platform and anywhere else on a pedestal and you are like always aspiring to be that and never get there sort of thing. Too hard to reach out to. No, it's not that anymore. And that's the best part today about any platform and even radio. Yeah.
Media is more casual about.
Yeah, you have to be. I think you have to be.
I remember when we were like growing up, let's say, we used to watch shows where the VJs, let's say, for example, were all very like, Miss India compares almost, where you're like, na. Yeah. And now it's like so much more chill. It's like everyone's vlogging in my head.
Oh my God, you watched television for VJs? I kind of almost forgot. Although I grew up
1991,
with
baby, over here. VJing was the coolest job I thought existed while I was growing up.
Of course, I've auditioned for it too.
Yeah.
But thanks to my vertical challenge, I don't think I was ever going to make it.
Listen, you have to explain to people this vertical challenge because I know what it is. People who are listening will be like, oh, she's vertically challenged. You have to explain.
Yeah, well, I'm just talking about being short.
You're not short, first of all. You're average Indian woman
No,
height.
no, I just spoke. Okay, I was speaking to Sarah Todd today, celebrity
She is very
chef.
tall.
Yeah, from Australia. And so she's being very nice. And she's like, no, yeah, you're not short. I said, Sarah, please. First of all, you're very tall. She's like, yeah, I know that. And for an Indian average height, it's anywhere between 5'2" or 5'5".
What's your exact height?
I'm not even 5. And I'm saying it out there. It's right out there on record.
You're not even 5?
No.
Listen, I'm barely
2
5'3".
inches of heels, they help.
In my head, you were around my height till like 2 minutes ago.
No, you're 5'2", right?
5'3".
See?
Listen, that 1 inch is very important.
Now you know, imagine my flight.
I understand how the men feel when we talk about inches.
I think men must be going through this, but they usually, I don't know if they are doing the same anymore, where they either just brush it off or
You and I
never
are-
even
You and I are
think
not
about it.
talking about the same kind of inch comparison. Let's move on. Leave me with some like advice. Not like leave me with it, rather. Leave our listeners with some advice about what one and where one starts when they want to pursue a career as a radio jockey. Is it still as interesting as it used to be? I mean, obviously, I personally feel it is, but I want to hear it
Oh,
from
it
you.
is. Oh, it is.
And how does one get there? Like, how does one go about this process?
You know, it's a tough question to answer because as many people have approached me and said, is there a break right now? Is there a place where we can, try and join in and become a radio jockey because I can do a really good job? It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. Either you get into the system, and that's how most of the radio jockeys have come on air. If you ask anyone, nobody got on air directly. They have to first go through the grind, which is you join a radio station, you get to understand what radio is, how it works, what kind of choices or your taste in music is. And then you kind of get a hang of how radio works and then get on air. Because by then you're also honing your skills as a speaker or as someone who can kind of communicate, articulate. Nobody can just get on radio and say, hey, today I'm a radio jockey. No, it never happens that way. You can ask any radio jockey and they will give you a story behind how they got to radio. So when you are sending your CVs to someone, send your CVs saying that you want to work at a radio station, get into a radio station, learn the ropes, and then yes, they will see your talent if you have that talent that you can articulate and you've done a lot of live shows and things like that outside. It's different from doing radio. And then you get a show for yourself because that's how 99% of the radio jockeys have become radio jockeys.
Being a multi-hyphenator is non-negotiable.
Yes.
So,
It's a must.
welcome to my personal favorite segment, Slide Into My DMs. This is where I take a peek into my guests' DMs. And yes, I'll be sharing mine too. In this no-holds-barred segment, we nosedive into our guests' inboxes, as well as messages from you to us from my Instagram. Buckle up for a potentially scandalous round of messages and some sweet ones too. Let's go! We do this fun thing here on the pod. It's a segment that I call Slide Into My DMs.
Oh,
You're very active on social media, and I know that you've grown to love it, if that's the right way that I should be
Yes.
putting it. I want to know what is
thanks
sliding.
for being subtle.
But you love it now. Now that's what matters. I remember days when we used to record at your studio at the start when I had just met you, and I'd be like, Annie, you need to post on Instagram more often. Annie, what are you not posting?
Do
Why
you
are
know
not
I've lived
posting?"
through that era, the time that we first met when we were asked not to be on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
It was literally that. So yes, that was the time. 7 years ago, we were asked not to use Instagram and stick to Facebook to where we are today.
Oh, how the tables have turned.
Like, be everywhere now. You've got to be everywhere.
Wait, my question that I was getting to when I completely got thrown off over there was what is and who is sliding into your DMs? Are you getting like, what kind of DMs do you get from random people on the internet?
You know, we think you are the perfect fit. We have this brand of jewelry and this, that, the other. We want you to try this.
You're getting business pitches in the
Yes.
This is great.
This is one. I've never tried though, any one of them. And the
Why
other
are
is...
you not making money if it's walking into
I
your
know someone from Korea or I don't know which country of the world sent in a hi, maybe moved to India or Bombay and saying, hi, I really love your photographs. Can I be friends and stuff? I still get that. Yeah, I do. That's the other bit of DMs that slide in. And the third and the most engaging lot is, of course, my listeners. They love to send in, wishes saying that, oh, we love listening to you. We love your voice. We love what you do to our afternoon drive, which is otherwise so hot and humid and so on and so forth. So we really like, and I keep putting it up on stories and stuff like that because, of course, it
Do you like replying
nourishes
to
my
people
ego.
then? Do you like replying to people in the DMs?
I do. I try as much as I can. That, like I said, that bandwidth, oh my God, it tears you down sometimes. But I like doing it. It's
Yeah.
nice.
Listen, you need to go and reply to everyone that's sending you business pitches in the DMs. I'm highly
Yeah,
encouraging
that is some
this.
advice I need to take from you first and then maybe put to use.
Because a lot of newer brands or someone who doesn't know, like tomorrow, let's say somebody who, okay, I don't know at all personally, doesn't, I don't know. And
Yeah.
how, I fumbled too much when I said that. Let's say someone who doesn't know how to reach out to me. They don't
Yeah.
understand the
Yeah.
corporate aspect of emailing, or they don't know me directly, personally, socially, via, as so many people might,
So it's
be
mainly
like,
jewelry brands and some even apparel brands that have approached me.
you must
maybe one
reply
or
to them
two.
in the DMs.
Okay.
Here, I get people tell me they get thirst traps and dick pics in the DM. You're getting business pitches in the DMs. You're not taking it up.
Wow.
You must. I'm encouraging this. Then we'll have Annie, the content creator, beyond radio as well.
Yes. Okay, let's see and let's hope that happens too.
Thank you so much for coming on the pod. Thank you for talking to me about your journey, about talking about just how much radio has, I won't say changed, I'd rather say has gone through this evolution of sorts.
Yeah.
From not wanting you on socials to making sure you're on socials being the biggest takeaway for me, at least.
Yeah.
And thank you for always being as lovely and warm as you are.
Thank you so much. It was lovely to see you after eons and to do this real deal as the real deal with Aanam.
And role reversal.
And role reversal too. I have to give that to you. Thank you.
Woodhouse Ford is making car buying better with 3 convenient locations in Blair, Omaha, and Plattsmouth, a streamlined process, and great offers going on now. Purchasing your next car, truck, or SUV from Woodhouse Ford is an easy choice. Save up to $11,000 off MSRP on a new 2023 F-150 XLT Super Crew. Shop our entire inventory and savings now at woodhouseford.com. With approved credit, see dealer for details. Expires 6/30/2023.